Well, good morning. We're going to get started. Welcome to Mornings with the Mayor. We're delighted to have you here on this cool fall morning. Definitely the weather has changed and summer has left us, although it took about 2 months to realize that we were actually in fall. Delighted to see some new faces here. We're going to go around the room as we traditionally do and let everybody introduce themselves. And then I'm going to go through and kind of give a recap of what's happening, what's coming forward, some of the fun events, and then today we're going to talk about cultural arts day, not cultural arts day, our cultural arts programs, and all the activities and the different days that we have here in Danville. And but I want to point out somebody who's a dear friend of mine, a fellow elected official that I've known for many years. That's here from Walnut Creek, and Councilmember Cindy Silva is here, along with Gail.
Gail Bassett.
Yes, who is communications, yes, from City of Walnut Creek. And Cindy's here today because it looks like she may, because of some changes in the vacancy in City of Walnut Creek, may well become mayor again, much sooner than she thought. And one of the things she's looking at is actually doing something similar to this in Walnut Creek.
You were kidding.
So, especially, yeah, you didn't know that? No.
And
Anyway.
those are condolence looks.
Yeah.
They're coming my way.
Well, anyway, welcome to you. We're delighted to have you. So let's start around. I'm Newell Arnerich, Mayor of Danville, and we'll start this way and work our way back around.
Good morning, everybody. Joe Calabrigo, Town Manager.
Steve Simpkins, Chief of Police.
And how about up there? And we got you just when you were ready.
Ray Greer, President of Danville for the last 40 years.
Welcome.
Don Reed, resident.
Jean Reed, resident.
I'm Jay Kerr. I'm actually a resident of San Ramon, but I've worked in Danville for the last 20 years. And I'm also a candidate for the San Ramon Valley Fire District Board.
Eric Hayes, I'm the Artistic Director of Role Players Theater that is down here in Danville, and also on and off resident since 1974.
And also on the EPMD board.
Oh, that's right, too. Thank you.
And I'm Florence McCauley, and I'm president of the Role Players Board.
I'm Claude Benedict, the old resident of Danville.
I'm Carol Benedict, 44-year resident.
We'll go back to Matt back here.
Thank you. I'm Matt Staney. I serve you on the Board of Directors of the San Ramon Valley Fire Protection District.
Stan Wharton, I'm a docent at the Museum of the San Ramon Valley.
And I am Roxanne Lindsay. I serve on the San Ramon Valley Fire Board, and I represent here at this meeting the Altamont Corridor Express train.
Before we go on, we should just recognize Roxanne. What she's not telling you is that she's retiring and not running for re-election, which is why Jay is here.
After 14 years.
14 years. Just to say thank you.
My name is Robert Storr. I'm currently the Vice Mayor of Danville.
And Cindy, after.
Oh, Cindy Silva, Walnut Creek City Council. And Gail Bassett, Communications and Outreach Manager for the City of Walnut Creek.
Ken Mintz, Vice President of the Board of Education, and the AT&T representative here in Contra Costa.
Sam Altschiller, resident. David Lamb, the Performing Arts Coordinator for the town.
Amy Miller, Visual Arts Coordinator for the town.
Matt Rosasavera, Assistant to the Town Manager for the town.
Great. We're going to hear from these three later on our cultural arts programs. Just point out, Mr. Schiller here is also used to be with PG&E. He's been a great advocate for alternative energy sources and looking at how to make things a lot greener here in Danville. Appreciate all your efforts. And on that subject, just to give a sort of a background, what's happened over the past month, I was fortunate to get to be a MC for Sustainable Contra Costa's annual awards program. And this year, the Lifetime Achievement Award went to none other than Danville resident John Chapman. John Chapman has been, for the past 2 years, the president of the board for Greenbelt Alliance. He's done a lot of work over the years, particularly out in East County, and one of his things was how do you really preserve ag land you know, people try to do it through zoning, but people have property rights and they can make their own determination of what they'd like to do with the property. And John created a program and raised the funds to do it, where he basically said, if you'd like to continue farming, we'll buy ultimately what your property rights would have been had you changed the land use to housing and things like that. He raised about $12 million as a seed fund to actually buy up those development rights, and in effect has kept those properties actually in agriculture. John was also, I think, the 5th house in California, Pacific Gas and Electric's area here in California, to have a solar voltaic system on his house. And now we take it for granted. PG&E was not supporting these programs originally because, in fact, they had to come up with a meter that would turn backwards, so that when you were producing excess power during the day, it would go to the grid, and that's how you got your net metering credits. And John was tenacious to, you know John, and he won the battle and got it and actually changed some of the regulations that made it easy for all of us to do it. Now it's sort of the normal course of action. So it was great to see John recognized for that. And I told him, of course, you know, sometimes we get a lifetime achievement. It kind of goes, well, you're done, thank you, goodbye. Well, John's not done, so I'm sure we'll see him again doing many wonderful things. Also along with that, you know, we're really fortunate here in the San Ramon Valley that there are wonderful programs that are still alive and well. And as you know, Boy Scouts has just celebrated over 100 years of existence. Boy Scouts actually started in England about 108 years ago, I think. And the highest rank of achievement is Eagle Scout. And for everybody that's ever had a son or known somebody who's scouting, that if you've been in Scouts, you're a former Scout. If you become an Eagle Scout, you're a Scout for the rest of your life. And for whatever reason, in our valley, we have the highest incident per capita of Eagle Scouts. And just an example of that, I have, I'm just going to read their names because you never always hear about it, but there are 6 this weekend. And in the past 4 months, I think I've done 20 Eagle Scouts. And it's just extraordinary. It's a lot of work for the young men that do this. It's a lot of work for the families. But it's really about leadership. And I'm just going to read these names. It's Matthew James Pele, which will be on this Saturday, and along with him were Anthony Joseph Silva. And then on Sunday, we have 4 young men, and this will be at the LDS Church at 7 p.m. Jackson Whiteman and Tanner Hall, who I think we've had his brother before, Parker Wild, and Chase Bonin. And that's interesting at this time of year. It seems to be the fall and spring when most of these young men, given all the distractions, all the opportunities for young boys to do other things, video games and things like that, they have to accomplish this before their 18th birthday, regardless of where they're at in school, because you age out, you can't do that. Eagle Scout project takes about a year to do. They do budgets, they do planning, and they cannot do all the work themselves. The idea is about leadership quality. And you know, and those of us that get to help add recognition to these young men who do this, it really makes you proud to see, again, given our fast-paced society and all the electronic distractions, that they still do these very practical things that teach us an incredible amount of independence and self-confidence. And always proud as a community to be able to recognize that and remind them about all the great people who have done that. All the men who stepped on the moon were all had to be Eagle Scouts. And of course, what was the first thing said when the craft landed on the moon? The Eagle was landed. It happened to be the name of the craft. The words of stepping off of there and all of those are things that we remember. And I always challenge them is, you know, what will you do? What planet will you step on? And again, if you know anybody that's in scouting, you know, to encourage them. If you look at statistics in college right now, one of the issues that concerns a lot of people in education is that there are 50% more women in college than there are men. When I was in college, it was probably 25% women and 75% men. Statistically, it should be equal. The dropout rate for sophomores in college, the highest dropout rate is for men. And then there's something that's happening. And in all professions, I'm an architect by profession. When I graduated college, there were 4 women out of a class of 400. The class this year still has about 400 out of Berkeley, and 240 were women. Same thing in civil engineering and all the other disciplines. So that as we look in all the programmings we do, that we might need to be circling back and thinking about what are we doing with boys that used to have traditional roles that had all the breaks. We might look at, and I know the school district has had some concern, is that starting to look at beyond our 97–98% rate of kids going on college is what's happening, particularly happening with boys. So scouting, I think, is just one of those opportunities that gives our young men some independence. Along with that, there are lots of great things that have happened over the past, excuse me, the past month here. And the Danville Fall Craft, which was 2 weeks ago, was probably one of the best that we've had. Fortunately, the weather was spectacular. On each given day, on Saturday, Sunday, there were about 15,000 people that came through here. And one of the things they did this year was, because of Prospect Avenue not being on the main street, they had a small car show that appeared that turned out to be a huge hit. They did some recognition of those to help encourage the residents who brought their classic cars in and things like that. And of course, the big event coming up is the lighting of the old oak tree, which is the day after Thanksgiving, just down the street here, which is really co-sponsored by the Town of Danville, but really a Danville Area Chamber of Commerce event. It starts at 5 p.m. and of course, downtown will be closed off. There will be carolers, there will be music, lots of businesses will be hosting hot cider, cookies, and things like that. So we hope you will join us at one of these wonderful traditional events to meet Father Christmas and the Snow Angel. And I think our Snow Angel is still going to be one of the same wonderful volunteers that's been here forever, and somehow each year she looks younger. Of course, a couple of other really fantastic things. The Children's Fall Fest was on Friday the 26th, last Friday, and it was at the Danville Community Center, and the theme was Ghostbusting in Danville. And it had 2 sellout crowds for this great event. And of course, the Village Theater, it's called BT Nights, are showing classic movies, and it's $5 to have a wonderful thing. And this Thursday, it'll be the Bird Show. And of course, one of the most, I think probably one of the highest rated productions by Role Players Ensemble is now playing. It's Incident and Vichy by Arthur Miller. And if you haven't seen this yet, it's just extraordinary to see this high quality theater production here. And I know we have Walnut Creek with their large theater sitting here, but in fact, this is extraordinary quality. And of course, the investment that Danville's put in to make our historic Grange Hall into a theater, into a really first-class facility, I think has really helped. There's a lot of other things that are happening in the Village Theater now, and you can hear about some of those. But it's great to see. So now the competition is who gets to use what, when, and where. But we're really excited and proud with Florence to see this level, and of course our artistic director here to see this quality of play. So if you haven't seen it, it's really easy. You can get your tickets online. You don't have to pick them up. You show up there, your tickets are waiting for you, and it's really one of the best deals in town. And just briefly going forward, November, our November 7th council meeting, we will be meeting the day after the election. I met with Steve Weir yesterday, who is our county clerk who runs the elections. And some interesting statistics he gave yesterday is that in the 2008 election, there were about 108,000 absentee ballots requested at 536,000 registered voters in Contra Costa County. This year, there were 30% more. But as of yesterday, there were 20% less that were turned in. Yesterday was essentially the last day that you could probably mail your ballot in. And just to remember, this year, by the way, it takes 2 stamps, and yes, you do have to pay for it because you are requesting the ballot. It's free to go vote there. But it takes 2. It's because it weighs slightly more than an ounce. So you need to make sure you have it. And there is a little note that says that, but for some reason, it's because it's a thicker ballot. The second thing is it is not the postmark that counts. They must physically receive it on no later than the election day on Tuesday the 6th. So if you still have your ballot, what you need to do is just take it on November 6th and voting day, turn it in, and then it will be counted. Otherwise, your ballot will not be counted if it shows up a day late. And the post office has challenges, as staffing's been cut back, so there's no guarantees. So they really predicted that yesterday was the last day. And if you haven't voted yet yourself, please do tell your friends. There seems to be, with the propositions, a little bit of apathy out there, but there's a lot of significant things happening in California. And of course, there's always local elections and things like that. We'll look for results to come out late this year because the fact there are so many absentee ballots, the more absentee ballots, the longer it takes to do it. The closer the absentee ballots show up to the election, it means they're counted last. So it'll take them about 2 weeks to get any of the ballots that weren't turned in by last Monday. So there's probably 20 to 30% of the ballots will not be counted for about 2 weeks. So Steve predicts that it's going to be an interesting outcome. They originally thought it would be a high turnout, and right now they're not sure. And voter registration was up because of the online registration. And the question I asked him, and I didn't know this, well, if you do an online registration, since when you do an absentee ballot, they compare every single signature. So it takes a long time. They do have a recognition software, but when it rejects it, because it doesn't look like a match from the software, a human being has to look at it. And interesting, what age group do you think has the highest rate of rejections? And I'll tell you, it's almost 30%. Do you have a guess? Not what you think. Most people might say it's our age, the seniors and things like that. It's not. It's the 18 to 26-year-olds. And the reason why is their signatures are changing as you think about what did your signature look like when you were 18 versus when you're 60. So what happens in that case, they send out a new ballot, but your vote's not counted. Not a new ballot, I'm sorry, a new registration. So that next time you'll re-register with an updated signature, but your ballot is not counted. So if you do have a young person or a son or daughter, remind them to check their signatures. And I know that in the online registration, the question was, well, how do you get a signature to do that? You actually have to have a driver's license on file because they capture your driver's license signature, and that becomes the signature that's now on your ballot. So DMV and all the voter registration, county registration in the state of California are capturing those. So if you have an old driver's license because you're a good driver, your signature, because you can keep your driver's license up to 12 years. So interesting statistics, and we'll see what happens on November 6th at 8 p.m. So on November 7th, our last thing I'm just going to cover before we go to our program is we have a couple of proclamations this month, which is on National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. As you know, there is in the front of the Danville Town Hall is a tree dedicated, the Tree of Lives, dedicated to hospice, and there will be a ceremony in the month of December there to recognize those who have passed and to also thank all of those volunteers, because it's mostly a volunteer organization for hospice. Also, a proclamation will be recognizing Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. We've also had this past week, you've seen some new green objects in Danville. They're painted Danville green, and it's all of our new street furniture for our new recycling bins, as well as our traditional trash bins. They have a much greater capacity. People in Danville are putting their trash away. Our old concrete ones were heavy and in really small capacity, and now we have much larger, easier to see, and we also couldn't separate the trash before. So now, as Cindy and I both sit on the Solid Waste Authority, AKA known as trash, the recycling here is in Danville, we're almost at 74%. And by law, we have to, here in the next year or so, reach 75%. Our goal is to be beyond that. Our residents are telling me we want to do that. So Danville is trying to help step that up by putting out new enclosures. And lastly, there will be, our library is going to be getting a replacement of 33 new computers. We'll be approving the completion notice on our synthetic turf replacement at Sycamore Fields. As you know, we have two premier fields in Danville that are synthetic turf, which we couldn't build more parks. What we had to do was figure out how to use them more effectively. Our synthetic turf has provided a safer play surfaces, but it provides all weather. So kids can actually play soccer in the rain, which is fun. You don't have to wait for the fields to dry. And so we're really proud. It's expensive to maintain, but you're also saving on water and other things. It still takes maintenance. It's not a maintenance free, and it takes about I think we've got about 8.5 to 9 years. But they've proved really effective, so we're pretty excited about that. And lastly, this doesn't excite anybody except unless you've been around long enough in Danville. We're replacing the water meters in our irrigation system, particularly at Osage Park. Water meters, even though we're a public agency, if you want to change the size of your water meter, you go to East Bay Mud, you would say, well, we don't need more water, we just can't get the water fast enough. So what happens is, our parks, we will water at night so that people can use them during the day. The problem is our meters are so small, we can leave them run all night, half the day. Well, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to replace them, that's called capital investment cost. We're treated like a brand new service, even though our bills will be the same, we had to pay an upfront capital cost, and there's no breaks for public agencies, unfortunately. So it took a long time to swallow that pill, but the good news is we're going to be able to have Osage Park water in a shorter period of time, allow it to percolate, in the long run it'll save water. Then also our new central irrigation system is remote control, so we can monitor moisture sensors and all that. You're not going to notice it. It's a lot of money, but I tell you what, it's going to be one of the best things that we've done to our parks in a long time. So we'll have healthier parks, more efficient use of water, and more time available for residents, so we don't have to close them. So now I would like to turn this over and have Nat start us off to talk about our cultural arts programs, while he's going to then introduce Amy and David. Nat?
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor Arnerich. So our cultural arts program supervisor, Jane Laris, she was not able to make it today, so she asked me to provide an overview of the cultural arts program and introduce two of our fine staff here who've been involved in the cultural arts for the past 2 years, David and Amy. I'm not a recreation guy, but from what I understand, we have really two core types of programs within our cultural arts division. And one is enrichment, and the other are really performances and the gallery. Under enrichment, we offer a number of classes, programs, camps throughout the year that whether students or adults can participate in, and those are the enrichment programs. Our performances are ones that are oftentimes, whether they're town-sponsored, they're co-sponsored, working with role players, ensemble theater, other community groups, or the gallery, the different gallery exhibits that we have. And today we'll be focusing on the performances, on the gallery, sharing with you more information and help you understand what goes on at the theater, our Village Theater and Art Gallery. First, wanted to briefly talk about the Arts Commission and the fact that the Town Council back in March of 1990 established the Arts Commission as one of the town's commissions to promote the arts, promote events, cultural arts in Danville, serve as a liaison to groups. A number of groups we have in the community that promote arts. We've got the Alamo Danville Arts Society, AC5, it's the Arts and Cultural Commission of Contra Costa County. So each of these 8 arts commissioners serve as representatives to these groups: the Danville Children's Musical Theater, the Eugene O'Neill Foundation, the Museum of the San Ramon Valley as well. They also recommend policies, and most recently they created a number of years ago the 5-member curatorial committee for the Arts Gallery as well. And a little bit of a history or background on the Village Theater and Art Gallery. It's known affectionately among staff as VTAG, or the VT. And we've certainly come a long way with the use of this new facility and some of the new programs that we've offered. Started in 1873 as a farmer's lodge, and in November of 1913, nearly 100 years ago, it became the social and fraternal hall for the Danville community. Later it became a church. It served as a grange hall and a nursery before becoming a movie theater sometime after World War II. In 2009, the theater was renovated. The lobby was expanded to include the Arts Gallery, and we'll be hearing more from Amy about the different programs on the visual arts side of the house. And the theater offers programs, performances, plays, special events, concerts. And the gallery has exhibits and art shacks, receptions. And we'll be celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the Village Theater and Art Gallery next year with a number of programs. We have movie screenings, some historical presentations, other events. We're coordinating with the Museum of the San Ramon Valley as well. And all the events next year will culminate with a large gala event on November 29th, 2013. So I know a little early to put it on your calendar, but add it to your little day planner, November 29th of next year, a big gala event. You'll be hearing more from our staff, and go online to our Danville Today online newsletter for more information as we get that information out to you. But first, I wanted to introduce all of you to the two of our fine staff. Amy Miller is our coordinator in the visual arts. She has been with us for 2 years. She's, for over 4 years, served as an art gallery director throughout the state of California, over 10 years in the arts gallery business. She has a Master of Fine Arts as well. David, you'll hear from after Amy. He's also been with the town for 2 years. He's been over 14 years in the theater and production industry. So we're very lucky to have them, and I'll hand this off to Amy.
Hello, good morning, everybody. First, I want to say it's a real privilege to be here. At first, I was like, oh, 7:30 in the morning, that's a little early, but the more I thought about it, the more I was excited to be here and represent the arts in the town of Danville. It's been 2 years, and yes, I guess I have had 4 years of experience now. I worked prior to the town of Danville. I was at a community college in Southern California as the gallery director there. And what that sort of set up for me was an opportunity to invite artists that I've met throughout my arts education. I probably spent about 7 or 8 years total, from undergrad to graduate work, and I also studied abroad for a year. And during that time, you meet colleagues and professors, and you kind of develop a lifelong relationship with them. So now being in this position where I can call up people and invite them to exhibit or ask for recommendations is quite a unique opportunity. So what I want to talk about today for the Village Theater Art Gallery, for some of you who haven't been or don't know, I still have people come through and ask about the upstairs gallery, which no longer exists. It's been closed for a few years, and those are now town offices, so you can't really just go up there and walk in and see art. The art is in the lobby of the Village Theater. It's been renovated, remodeled. I have not seen it before, but I gather from people who walk in and they just are amazed at how it's transformed. So there's been quite a few exhibits, and since I came on board, I've been here now 2 years, and we do about 6 to 7 exhibits per year. I want to talk a little bit about 2012, what we've had, and what's coming for 2013. Now, the programming for the art gallery consists of several different types of exhibits. We do a juried exhibit every year, and I'll talk about what that means. We do curated exhibits, and the curators can come from the community or the Bay Area regional curators can submit a proposal. And also, I have been invited to curate shows as well. So I'm not technically a director, but as a coordinator, I work with the curatorial committee. And it's unique. A lot of galleries and public agencies, like the Bedford Gallery, and over in Pleasanton, the Harrington Gallery, and other galleries like the Berkeley Art Center, they operate with just a director who decides on their own what programs are coming through. So I kind of enjoy working with the committee because it's not just up to me, and if something doesn't go well and it's not the right kind of exhibit, I don't take all the heat. So, the committee, so it's nice to work with the committee and also just to get the variety of feedback. The committee is comprised of professionals in the art world, whether they're art educators or people who serve as a docent in other art galleries. We have someone from Walnut Creek, June Krug, who is on the guild for the Bedford Gallery. And it's just nice to get that energy and that variety. So there's 5 members. We meet bi-monthly, and basically I present to the committee any proposals that have come in from community members and any ideas I may personally have, just to fill in the gaps for the calendar year. So what happened in 2012, this entire year, when I started in 2011, there was a lot of gaps in the calendar because the gallery is a new program. They were just sort of renting exhibits, which can be very expensive, and there's a lot of arts and a lot of artists who are very eager to exhibit their work. So I felt that it wouldn't be a problem to go ahead and start programming in those open areas. So for 2012, we started with an exhibit called Abstract Dialogue, and some of you may have driven by and noticed a really large tubular piece of ceramic out front. It's black and white. That was by John Toki. He's very highly regarded in the field of ceramics. He owns Leslie Ceramic Supply in Berkeley, which is a resource for, I would say, millions of ceramic artists probably around the world. So it was quite an honor to work with John Toki, let's put it that way. And his wife, Pamela Steffel Toki, started making art about 8 years ago, and they share a studio space together. And her artwork, she doesn't do ceramic sculpture, she does clay monoprints, which is a very unique medium, and a lot of people were intrigued by this and came through and asked a lot of questions. I had a video playing in the gallery that showed her demoing the process, which is basically a wet slab of clay with colored slip and special papers that are treated to be archival and then framed. So we had the 2D artwork of Pamela's monoprints, and we had the 3D sculpture of John Toki. And for the reception, they gave a presentation in the theater, and it was fascinating how, as a husband and wife team, it sort of clicked for them putting that presentation together, how similar their work was. Prior to that, they just kind of made work together in the same space and didn't really make the connection. And so that's how we started the year. The next 2 shows, Branching Out and Colorscapes, I curated with the help of the curatorial committee and the approval of the committee. And those exhibits really highlighted and showcased some of the most emerging Bay Area contemporary artists. We had Eric Zener, we had Elaine Coombs, and these are artists who are full-time working in San Francisco and exhibiting with high-profile contemporary galleries such as Hess and other galleries I can't think off the top of my head, but down on Market Street there in San Francisco. And you were there, Joe, for some of those exhibits, and we brought in large-scale oil paintings and and sculptures and just a unique variety of work that the community members here in Danville, I think really appreciated. The feedback that I heard was, wow, this is so different. I would have never seen anything like this. And I know a lot of people don't really take the time to go into the city to see these exhibits in these smaller galleries. You might go to the MoMA or to Young, but to go off the beaten path and go visit these small contemporary galleries to see these artists doesn't really happen that often. I know I don't get out there very often. So it's nice to bring it to a local community like Danville. Our juried show this year was Spaces and Places, and we invited an art critic, DeWitt Chang, who's also highly regarded and well respected in the art community, and he graciously offered to jury our exhibit. I had over 60 entries, which, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a lot, but it was more than the previous year, which was our first annual juried exhibit, so I felt really proud that our numbers had doubled, and the exhibit was a hit. I mean, the reception was packed. We had over 100 people there, and DeWitt Chang gave a brief talk during the opening reception. I often like to program additional events that occur either on the opening reception or during the exhibition period to get people to come back through, or maybe to get people to come, period, because there's something else added. It's not just coming in, looking at the work, and trying to figure it out on your own. You come in, you look at the work, and then you have another level of understanding, whether it's an artist talk or a juror talking, or I talk about it myself. For a while I tried to get this program called What's Up, and it was come to the galleries Wednesday at noon and learn about what's up, and it was just sort of an informal, free, casual environment for people to come through and listen to me talk about the work. But I don't do that anymore because I didn't get enough people to come through, but I may offer it again in the future as the reputation and familiarity of the art programs in Danville grows. Should I keep going?
I'm just going to jump in.
I could go on and on.
You can tell the passion here, but one of the things that I think is really extraordinary is that the art gallery has reached out to all age groups, from the children's to adults, to the sort of flower children, when we had the photographer who had incredible photographs back to the late Jim Morrison with the Doors. It had incredible people who some aren't around anymore, but our children's program, and so it's a resource facility that used to have one face to it, and now it has, really because of the work that we have and having somebody who knows what they're doing, to reach out to the community in all different ways. And so it's really exciting to see children come in and see, from Glassworks to our very first show was Snoopy, and the characters and the artwork of Schultz, pretty extraordinary. So we've got, actually, we're going to probably go on, but what we want to do is highlight this so that, those of you watching at home and those of you that come to these meetings to know, what, there's a resource right down the street, not just in our wonderful plays and productions and the children's theaters, but our artwork. And it's changed. If you ask our local businesses, anytime there's a show going on, the restaurants in downtown Danville are busy. They know exactly when the show's going to open because there's this huge crowd that comes in, and they all rush off to go to that. So part of the reason was to do that was to balance how to help our local businesses, how to get people downtown, and get all age groups. And Amy, we really want to thank you for all the work you've done, your passion.
I'm sorry if I went on too
long. No.
I did want to talk about James Fortin,
Yeah.
and I want to say that it ends on November 9th, and you really do need to come in and see these limited edition rock and roll iconographic photographs.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, Jim Morrison, Stevie Wonder, Rolling Stones, Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin. They're coming down, and actually the artist is going to be donating these to nonprofit organizations. So if anybody knows of a nonprofit, please be in touch with me because he wants to donate them. He doesn't want me to have to ship them back to Virginia where he lives. So if anyone has fundraising events or things and knows of a nonprofit, that's something that I need be 10 about soon. But thank you, I'm sorry if I went on too long, but.
Fantastic. David?
David.
Hi, David Lamb, Performing Arts Coordinator for the town. Like you said, I've been here about 2 years. And real quick, my background's mostly in lighting design. I've actually been a freelance theatrical lighting designer for about 15 years. Also doing background in scenic construction. I've done some directing, stage managing, general theater management, production management, things like that. But what I'm mostly talking about today is our variety of events that we're offering. When I came in, I noticed there were some gaps in some of the programming that we do in the theater. And I'm going to get up and actually just hand out our brochure so you guys have a little bit of visual. I don't have enough for everybody, but I've got one for each group if you'd like to take a look. It's showing that we do a lot of, I'm sure you've got one, Florence. There you go. We're doing a variety of programming. As we said, Role Players is one of our main groups that are in there as our drama group. But I noticed that we do have, okay, great. We had a gap in some, for the public, like people that don't want to necessarily go out and see a play, they want to see more of the movies. We're doing a classic movie series, as was mentioned, Thursdays at the VT, which started off with a jazz series where we did a jazz performance once a month, starting in August, and we did then we had, let's see, Drew Harrison, the lead singer from the Sun Kings, did his John Lennon tribute show, one-man show on stage doing John Lennon songs. And then last night was our first classic movie showing. We showed The Birds, had decent attendance there, had about 35 people in for a new program. I felt that was really good feedback, people coming in saying, we've never been in your building before, and we're just walking by and I noticed it on the marquee and it's a great price, and they brought their kids to come and experience this classic film. So we're continuing that with 2 weeks from yesterday, we're going and doing Raiders of the Lost Ark, followed by Casablanca, and then finally A Christmas Story for getting into the Christmas season. So we're also doing a lot of kids performances. We've got Danville Children's Musical Theater. We've got a Christmas show called the Jingletown Christmas, which is one of our contract classes that comes in and does performances a few times a year. So really trying to round out and offering a little bit for everybody. So, and of course, like I said, Role Players doing 3 shows a year, and then also co-sponsoring with the Eugene O'Neill Foundation to do the Eugene O'Neill show every year. So we're really happy to continue that partnership and that sponsorship and be involved with them. I'm gonna go to my notes, but I'm see if there was anything else that I needed to touch on.
David, what's where you're looking at? What would you say? What are you most proud of since you've been here 2 years? Which events or what have you been involved with? You'd say it's your best. And ask Amy the same thing.
Well, I think, like I said, trying to round out the programming and trying to offer a little bit more for more people. But I'm really proud of actually some of the renovations that we've done. When I first came in, and I don't know how many people in here have seen a show in the theater? Good, great, just about everybody. So you'll possibly remember walking in and noticing the big sconces that were on the wall in the actual auditorium. They consisted of these 5 hurricane lamps, 3 of them on each wall, and what it did was it lit up the walls, but it didn't do a whole lot for the seating. So we ended up coming in and taking those out and installing ceiling cans and putting in ceiling lighting above the seating. And it changed the dynamic of the building, and it just improved when you're in there and you're reading your program, you can actually see it. You don't have to turn it so that you can actually see it in the light. It created a much more intimate space. And then not too long ago, last year, we actually renovated the sound system in there as well. So we got rid of the 2 single speakers on each side and put in a full speaker array with subwoofers, and creating this more full sound in order to view these movies and to do the theatrical performances and the musicals and things like that. So I think that's probably, along with the new carpet and new paint, and just gave it a nice big facelift. So and I know it got the new theater seating, about 15, 20 years ago, something like that. When the town purchased it. So just bringing it up to date and, being able to provide a better experience for the town and for our patrons.
Great. And what's all the shows that you've been doing for a short time? What's one that you're most proud of and why?
Well, right when I started, I would say the Finding Balance, the Glasswork show. That was, I felt like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? This is a lot of work. There's a lot of very fragile pieces coming into the gallery. We had to build pedestals. I worked with David on lighting the show, which is wonderful. And we had a lot of people come through there. There was even a very young artist exhibiting his work. He was 9 years old, Darren Hanks. And he had some glass work up. And these glass artists, some of them have been in the area for 20, 30 years, blowing glass, and they haven't seen each other in a long time. So it's kind of an interesting reunion for these artists. They got up and they talked during the opening reception, and I could see just the connection and the community of glass artists. And also, what's coming, I wanted to mention an exhibit coming up called Who Am I? I'm working with 21 schools in the San Ramon Valley, and their art educators are bringing in 3 pieces from each school. We'll have over 80 pieces of artwork from these students, ranging from elementary school all the way through high school. So I'm really excited to see the artwork, to see the interpretation of the theme. It's a sort of a self-reflection, autobiographical exhibit, and to see the art educators, principals, the school district. I got a phone call from the San Ramon Valley Unified School District yesterday. They're putting that exhibit in their newsletter. They're very excited to have this opportunity. And in conjunction with that, the Young at Art, which is a new program this year in the gallery. It's something that is happening in Pleasanton, and I worked with Julie Finnegan on kind of adopting it here for Danville. And what Young at Art is a program where parents and care providers can register their children. They can drop them off or they can stay. They come into the art gallery, and I speak about maybe 20, 30 minutes about the exhibit, and I engage the children in asking questions about the artwork, ranging from what's your favorite color in this piece, or what's your least favorite, what's your most favorite, what do you think that piece means? Just really, easy questions to engage them, and then we make an art project based on the theme of the exhibit. So I'd say those are some of the things.
That's fantastic.
And we encourage all of you to go to our website. We have our Danville Today online newsletter. All of the new exhibits and programs are featured there, danvilletodayonline.com. We also have our Facebook page, facebook.com/DanvilleCA, and also the Village Theater and Art Gallery actually have their own Facebook page as well. So we encourage you to visit that to stay updated on all of the current information and all the showings and exhibits at the Art Gallery.
Well, thank you, David and Amy, for being here this morning, and thank you for the passion. I mean, it's clear that, I almost want to say it's not only your youthfulness, but the fact is that you're really passionate about what you're doing, and it's exciting to see what's happening. One of the observations, and we also used to say, please quit going to Walnut Creek to go shopping. I know Cindy's here. But the truth of the matter, a lot of people in Danville did that. And in 2007, most cities peaked, and probably throughout the United States, peaked with retail sales tax, and also fell in 2008, 2009 dramatically. Some cities dropped 40%. Danville dropped somewhat. We are now, as of I think the first or second quarter of this year, we're higher in sales tax than we were back in 2007. And the one thing that I think we have done extraordinarily well, and it's along with our cultural arts programs, the plays, we've gotten people to stay, shop, and dine in Danville. I'm sorry, Walnut Creek, but Walnut Creek is doing pretty well.
Yeah, don't feel sorry for it.
And again, every time there's one of these events, you can see how the restaurants, you've got to get in. If you don't have a reservation, you're not going to make it in. So the quality is outstanding, and so we hope that you will enjoy and take part in all of those. So we have just a few minutes left, so I want to go around. I'm going to start with Joe, and then to our chief. Any announcements, and if any of you have anything you'd like to share with us, we'll try to get to you. Joe?
Just very briefly, in terms of other things that we have going on that affect the physical condition of the town, the mayor mentioned the new trash and recycling receptacles. We've also got a project starting up here in the next week that'll see us installing some new bike racks in various locations throughout our downtown, and implementing our bike parking master plan that the council approved earlier this year. We have just a little under $3 million pavement management project that's just getting underway out on the east side of town in a number of neighborhoods out there. So we're going to be going out and removing and replacing a lot of pavement, installing sub-drains, and then following it up in the spring with a fresh slurry seal on a lot of those streets. I still think of that as being the new part of town, but those streets are over 20 years old now. So if you see activity out there, that's what's going on. And if you haven't gone online to look at our website, I'll also mention that after 2.5 years in the works, the new Town of Danville draft 2030 general plan is now available online for review. There will be a number of public meetings that will be coming up, starting with the Planning Commission and working through the council toward the latter part of this year and into the spring. So this is the third general plan that the town has done since it incorporated in 1982. Very, very largely carries forward the vision and the policies that have been in the prior plans in terms of the character, the charm, the history of the community. And one of the things that I like to share with people, because when I joined the town 27 years ago, I worked in the planning department. And the first general plan that was done here about 27 years ago, population of the town was about 30,000 then, and the forecast was that this would grow to a community of about 43,000 upon build-out. And according to the State Department of Finance in January of this year, we were at 42,200. So I don't think in terms of being able to manage growth that you can do a whole lot better than that, and at the same time set aside our major ridgelines, scenic hillsides, and really emphasize the history and the character of a community the way this community has. So encourage you all to go online, take a look at our general plan and the environmental document, and as we move forward with the process to have hearings on the general plan and adopt a new general plan sometime at the beginning of next year, please make a point of participating in that process, coming out to those meetings, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Joe, any update on the Danville Hotel project?
Not since last we spoke here. We're now in the process of working with that developer to, we're designing Railroad Avenue, the improvements that are going to go from Prospect all the way down to Church Street, including undergrounding the overhead utility lines. And they are still telling us that they intend to start the project in the spring of this coming year. In fact, they told me just recently there was going to be a sign going up out there letting folks know that. So
when we say designing, but I want to make sure it's designed the project. We're designing our portion to do those street improvements. So it's beautiful. Absolutely.
Right now it's a nice one.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a lot nicer. Great. So Chief Simpkins, I just wanted to mention yesterday, as many of you know, several of us, a lot of folks in the room here have been through Leadership San Ramon Valley. This is a program that is now 20 years old. Roxanne Lindsay's been through it, Matt Stamey, Jay Kerr's in the class now, myself, been through it, Robert Storr, and Matt's in it right now. And it's a program where we try to get people who are interested in being involved in their community, and it's a 10-month-long course, and a lot of commitment for the folks that go through that, but it's really about being community leaders and how communities work. Yesterday, it was on Government Day, and we had both the Chief Simpkins and Chief Scott Holder. Our fire chief was there, Rich Price, and also the commander for the first time from Highway Patrol to talk about how do we all work together. And it's great to have Chief Simpkins talk about how we do things. We're a contract city, and it's great. Most people don't know how those agencies interact or how a contract city works. So, Chief, welcome.
Thanks, Mayor, I appreciate that. And to take your comments about sales tax, that means that everyone's downtown shopping. And so I'd like to remind everybody, while you're downtown shopping, to not leave the shopping bags on the front seat of the car, or your iPad on the front seat of the car, or your anything on the front seat of the car, because unfortunately we have some folks that still like to try and steal those things. We send the strongest message possible to all the bad guys to stay away from Danville and to go back to Walnut Creek. Just kidding.
Edit that one out of the video.
Just kidding. They actually, I have to always tease Scott Mulder from Santa Ramon. We tell each other that the bad guys come from Santa Ramon, or that he says they come from Danville. It's just a running joke, and I'll apologize to Joel Wright later. But on a serious note, we do appreciate that, all the eyes and ears out there and paying attention to what's going on. And this is a good time as we're getting into the big shopping part of the season where just to be careful and to remember to keep your eyes open and look out for those folks who might be wanting to take advantage of the fact that your arms are full of bundles and everything else. And it's a good time to remember to lock the doors and other things. And I wanted to share another interesting story that just from last night. I've always asked that the residents, you know your neighborhoods far better than we do. And we know when you see something that's out of balance, and we really appreciate it when you call us and let us know something looks suspicious in our neighborhood. However, last night we had a caller take it just a little bit too far. They saw a car that looked suspicious in their neighborhood, and so they decided to follow it around while they were calling us. And the one thing that I would remind you is that while we certainly appreciate your input, and when you see things, let us be the ones to follow it around. And we will be the ones to come and check it out, make sure everything is going well. But we certainly don't want anybody in harm's way. That's what we're for, and that's what we'll do that job for you for. But again, if you see anything out of place, please let us know. We really want your call. We appreciate the calls for service. We appreciate that confidence in us, and don't ever think that we're too busy. If we happen to be on some sort of emergency or something else, it might just take us a couple minutes longer to get there, but we're still going to get to the call.
So remember, if it looks out of place, it probably is.
Yes.
And if you're on a landline, dial 911. But on your cell phone, make sure you have on speed dial 820-2144. Don't dial 911 on your cell phone, because if it goes to CHP, it can take you 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes longer, and sometimes you could get a hold for 15 or 20 minutes because the system, So put 820-2144. That goes directly to the dispatch. It's just as though you're dialing 911. It's sort of a backdoor number. So, Chief, thanks for everything, and we appreciate all the work you guys do. We have about 5 minutes left to go around. Florence, anything you want to share with us?
I want to say how much we enjoy our partnership with the town. The theater, what David said about the theater, the improvements have just been wonderful, and people, our patrons really do comment and are overwhelmed when they come into the lobby and see the artwork. So that, it really adds to the experience, and we really are glad that is happening. I have some postcards of our new, our current show, and I urge you to come. We've gotten, as
Great reviews.
The mayor said, we have gotten wonderful reviews, and it's on for 2 more weeks. And we also do another event with our plays. We have a little musical offering, and we're doing that at Rakestraw. The next one will be on Thursday. So come and enjoy a little cabaret music. And there again, we thank you for co-sponsoring.
Great, thank you. And just, I'm glad you mentioned Michael Bernard, as you know, owns Rakestraw Books. They have moved. They're actually literally next door. So they have moved from what is a kind of a sister building. So they're in the building next door. There's some changes in ownership and things going on where they were. So they are still there. They're just literally next door. So when you walk up there, just turn to the right and you'll see Rakestraw Books. Ken Mintz, anything from school district? Or
Yeah,
AT&T?
just real quick, I'd be real remiss if I weren't to bring up that we do have a facilities bond on the ballot next week. If you have not voted, I would hope you would seriously consider supporting it. Working back to the issue of cultural arts, you know, in previous bond measures, we were able to renovate the performing arts theaters at both San Ramon Valley High and Monte Vista, and those are just phenomenal facilities. And what that has done is it has helped to support the start of the arts with our youth. And I wouldn't want you to miss the opportunities when you're looking for arts, you know, to be a spectator or see a performance. Look at those high school programs. We have some tremendously talented youth in our community, and performing arts, the musicals are just tremendous. But it's just an indication of the types of things that we've been able to do with community monies that come through those facilities bonds. We have a lot more renovation work that's needed at these schools as well as across the rest of the district for growth and infrastructure improvements. It's really important support. The other thing I bring up real fast, I'm on the board of the Museum of San Ramon Valley, and you might have seen in the online press, the museum just took over responsibility for the Tassajara one-room schoolhouse. We worked with the fire district, and we worked with Supervisors Anderson and PIFO in transferring the deed to the museum. What that allows us to do is ensure that it ties into the school district, making sure that we're continuing to be able to provide that one-room schoolhouse program that we use for elementary school kids across the district. And we'll be able to do that going forward.
That's great.
So does that mean we can't call the fire department when the heater doesn't work?
That's right.
Actually, there are folks in the fire district that are going to continue to help us with some caretaking support, but it's now under the control of the museum.
Okay, great. We got about a minute left. If there's questions, we'll do it afterwards. Matt or Roxanne, anything from the fire department you want to?
How about a fun fact, that your fire protection district covers 155 square miles?
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Please join us on our website. It's very robust. It's firedepartment.org. For the 20% that haven't returned their absentee ballots and the rest of you, Jaker and I would appreciate the consideration very much. And last but not least, the other fun fact is the fire department turned out we never did own the schoolhouse, but we did appreciate the fact that we were able to support it and maintain it even though it wasn't ours.
That's great. Excellent. Well, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving as we move into the holiday season. In Danville, as Joe mentioned, since the year 2000, Danville's been built out. Where most cities have added, we had about 30 people a year, we've added 30 people, not 30 houses. We had about 14 to 16 houses a year. The reason why you're hearing us talking about our cultural arts programs and things like that, that's our focus. It's on the quality of life. Danville will remain in this kind of a mode, hopefully forever. So while our neighbors, both to the north and south of us, when you would add 2 or 3 zeros past those numbers for their increasing population, Danville is built out. It was part of what we decided to do many years ago when we were formed. It's what our residents want. And so now we have the absolute luxury of focusing on the quality of life issues that I think we've always had, but even have more time and more focus. So I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you on December 7th.